Welcome, PI Nation. You're listening to the Politically Incorrect Podcast. Here are your hosts, Matt, Evaldo, and Deshaun.
Up and welcome everybody to the show. My name is Evaldo Barros. I'm joined here with Deshaun Barros and Matt Camara. How we doing, fellas?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Good. Deshaun, what's up?
What's up, everybody?
So what's going on, fellas? A lot to talk about. We've been kind of MIA a little bit, but we're back, ready to go live on the Sunday afternoon in the basement.
In the basement.
Yes,
We're
sir.
back in the basement.
Deshaun's sweating. He was using the fryer cooker. What's up, man? You all
I'm a little
right?
glossy right now because I was running back and forth. I'm frying a chicken today, and I'm just excited because I want fried turkey for Thanksgiving. I've never had it before, so I guess this chicken is going to be the guinea
So you're a
pig.
test pilot.
So this is the test run. So I'm excited about it, but I'm also excited about this show because, boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, sir, we do. Absolutely.
We got a lot to talk about.
First things first, is the Kracken being released or what? What's up?
I think we're seeing the emerging of the Kracken. I don't think we have the majority of it. I think what we've heard and seen, I think, is just the tip of the iceberg here. I think there's a lot more evidence that it seems like Sidney Powell is very reluctant to release, and probably with probably the right idea to do it that way, because we see how the left reacts. You know, as soon as they find out who the whistleblower is or who the affidavit is, they immediately go after them and start attacking them.
Yep.
You know, so I think it's the right move. It just stinks for us because we're just waiting, you know, and the suspense and all that. But it's the right move.
Now, you think it's the right move. You're saying that because you've probably been hearing a lot of criticism on the other side about how we're doing this.
Right, of
Right.
course. There's a lot of people that are calling this an embarrassment. Chris Christie came out either yesterday or today, saying how Trump's legal team is an embarrassment and he's putting country over party and that Trump should concede. So you got a lot of people, include the liberals, and you also have a lot of the rhinos who are in bed with the liberals, who are calling for Trump to concede and hoping that what the Trump legal team is doing is not factual, or their hope is that it would never come to light to begin with. They were just hoping that Trump was just going to take it and concede and not follow up with this. But I think there's just too much evidence to just concede.
Well, it's amazing because even the Democratic candidate, Joe Biden, should be concerned about this. You know, it's not about a party at this point. It's about the security of the integrity of the election process.
Right. But here's a man who's been in the basement the whole election time, and it's almost as if he knew that this was going to be the outcome, right? So he put as little effort as possible on the campaign trail. Up until the week of the election, he was going to stay in the basement. It wasn't until people kind of forced him to go out and campaign that week that he actually did it. That's not somebody who is worried about losing. Because if you're worried about losing, then you're going to go out and campaign. I mean, how many rallies did Trump do in that last week? It was
I think
like
it was like
4 or
He was
5
doing
every day.
like 3 to 4 or 5 a day.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was going back and forth.
Yeah.
He didn't stop. Now, Sidney Powell is saying that Trump could have had well over 80 million votes.
Yep, and I believe it. I think that once the evidence goes out and we start counting actual votes and getting those votes that were supposedly deleted, I think you're going to see something close to that.
Yeah.
You know, he already gained 10 million votes supposedly. I think it's way higher than that. I'm sorry, I just don't see how Joe Biden can be more popular than somebody like Barack Obama in his first term.
Well, the counter argument to that is this, that it's not Biden that people were excited or voted for. It was the fact that they wanted Trump out of office. They hated Trump so bad that they were willing to even vote for a
But
dead
you know
cat.
what?
I doubt that.
And
But I hear what you're saying.
I can see that making the race close, but I don't see that people hating Trump enough, because I think whether people hated Trump, they still benefited from him.
Right.
Everything that Trump has done has benefited the country. I'm sorry, but the liberals can't sit here and say that him attacking Big Pharma, him ending the wars,
Right.
him with the greatest unemployment. I mean, the guy picked up what 10% of the minority
Right.
votes when it comes to blacks, and no Republican has ever done that.
So I think what you're saying is there's not enough of just hatred for Trump versus those that necessarily don't like him, but they like what he's doing.
Right.
So they voted for him. Plus those that really love him and like what he's doing. There's not enough.
And
That's fair.
There's a lot of evidence out there that suggests that he's robbed. There was a poll that came out, only 40-some%, and this is a liberal poll that came out. Only 40. It was like 43 or 47% of the people that were polled believed that Joe Biden won legitimately. You know, so even liberals don't even believe that Trump lost.
Right. Now, the other side of the argument is because there were mail-in ballots that specifically were mostly going to go to the Democrats because Trump asked us, his voters, not to vote by mail-in but to go in person. They wouldn't use that as a reason as to why Biden was able to make such an numerous amount of catching up during the election night, which I still think there's a lot of statistical sketchiness behind that.
The biggest mistake with that is because Trump didn't urge his voters to mail. It wasn't easy for him to be able to cheat like the Democrats.
That's true, yeah.
Because whether Trump supporters are gonna vote by mail or in person, it doesn't matter. They voted. They came in person and voted. You know,
right.
I don't see Trump supporters sitting at home and because the president didn't encourage me to vote by mail, I'm going to just not vote at all.
So what I'm saying is, yeah, you're right. A lot of the Trump supporters showed up in person, but what they were doing was they were setting up a narrative to explain why all of a sudden Trump lost his lead after being up by so many thousands of votes. They were saying, well, because we were waiting to open up the mail-in ballots and the mail-in voting, and then you would see this be a normal pattern where Biden would catch up.
In all the states that the counting didn't stop, you had states like Florida and Texas,
right?
There were 11 million votes, I think, in Texas alone, 10 million votes, I think, close in Florida, and you didn't see massive ballot drops of just Biden.
Right, and that's what the problem was with the mail-in voting. There was a lot of sketchy stuff that's just improbable that was
those
occurring.
Things only happened, and you notice Trump ended up winning Florida by not say a landslide, but a lot more than what they projected. You know, and so that's what I'm kind of thinking is what should have happened in all those other contested where the vote stopped. That's what should have happened.
And what was going on, too, just 1 second, there was a lot of coincidences happening in just those key states. You know, one person said this, I don't believe in conspiracy, but I also don't believe in too many coincidences happening.
No.
You know what I mean?
In Pennsylvania, for instance, the capital of voter fraud, a month prior to Dominion rollout voting systems that are there's a key that was left in a warehouse that is given access to Dominion administrators to go in.
Right.
And I'm not sure. Have you guys heard that story? How it was actually robbed. They got robbed a month before the election. And the key was stolen. So it was kind of weird that the FBI didn't investigate this, the Justice Department. Nobody has investigated that. And yet after the election, we see all this voter fraud in Pennsylvania. Right. And just a month prior, somebody had...
Well, consider this, too. So in the last election, you've always had some sort of mail-in ballots, right? So what ends up happening is it's supposed to go through an audit process where they match signatures. And the rate in which mail-in ballots were rejected last election were quite a bit more times higher than the rate of rejected ballots this election. Now you would figure that, and I mean by quite a bit, it's like 3% in 2016 and then 0.03 in this election. You would think with the massive amount of mail-in ballots that number would at least be the same, if not a little bit higher. but it's nowhere close to that because they're not matching signatures. They're not doing what they were supposed to be doing.
No, that's why the Trump administration is demanding another recount in Georgia.
You know, and if the whole thing with Dominion is true, that alone is almost should be enough to turn the election. And you know what? People can say that it's just a conspiracy theory, but who closes up shops in the middle of the night and just disappears? You got LinkedIn profiles that are deleted, people that are just, their names are changing or it just doesn't match up. Yeah. You had Dominion that was supposed to show up in Pennsylvania. They just decided not to show up. Very sketchy. You have the U.S. military that raids and captures their servers out in Germany. Obviously, there's something there. You know, and like Sidney Powell said, she said the Democrats were not expecting Trump to get the votes that he got.
That's true.
That is
and
true.
that they were banking on just being able to steal the election based on switching the votes through Dominion. And what happened was they realized that wasn't going to happen, that the algorithm wasn't going to switch enough votes for them. And that ended up breaking the system, and that's when they had to stop all the count. You were there.
They were fumbling around. They were fumbling around.
Together, all of a sudden.
From what it looks like.
It looked like Trump was going to win in a landslide, and then everything stopped.
They were fumbling around.
Everything stopped. Nothing like that has ever happened before.
Yeah, that was unprecedented.
So Eddie Kamara just wrote on that note, in 5 states, they stopped counting because they had to find votes for Biden. That's why they stopped counting ballots. No election in history has ever had that ever happen before. That's true.
That is
These are unprecedented times.
Absolutely.
And there are people out there who are going to say, you know what, Trump should just concede for the good of the nation. I don't understand how election fraud is good for the nation.
It's not good for the nation.
We've had problems with Wayne County. Wayne County alone is crazy. 71% of the precincts, more votes than actual voters. How does that happen? In Nevada, you have more votes cast than actual ballots. How does that happen? Obviously, that's not supposed to be possible, but it's happening.
Yeah, right.
And if we look at history, Wayne County has always been a problem because John F. Kennedy actually won the presidency because of Wayne County. And Richard Nixon said himself, he said, I know that there's fraud there, but for the good of the nation, I'm going to concede. Terrible mistake on Richard Nixon. That should not be the precedent. If we're supposed to be the free world of the nation where other countries look at us for election integrity, we shouldn't be allowing these shenanigans to exist. And that shouldn't be a partisan issue. That should be bipartisan.
Yeah. And what's crazy to me is that we have a foreign company, a Canada-based company, counting our votes.
And we don't even know where those. Supposedly, it goes to Venezuela, it goes to Spain, it goes to Germany.
Why? I
don't understand that.
I think the American people should be counting the American votes. I mean, that's just logical.
In Canada, they don't even use that system. It's 100% paper ballots, and that's it.
Yeah.
Other fraud that we're seeing is obviously you have the USPS that endorsed Joe Biden. So how can you trust the company that endorses a particular candidate to be trustworthy? We're seeing that that's not true. Tons of ballots were received in Pennsylvania. They were received before the actual ship date. So somehow the Postal Service went into the future, dropped off these ballots, but then in real time they weren't actually sent on time. So we know that they were backlogging the dates.
So they were supposed to be shipped at a certain date,
so what
and then they
happened
arrived
is
before the ship date.
It was showing in the system that it was received before it was actually shipped out. So how does that happen?
Okay, yeah. So they weren't even going through the normal process. They were just taking it really quickly and to be counted, right? That's all right?
Well, the notion is that they either changed the dates because you only had up until a certain time.
Right, I see what you're saying, yeah. Stamping the dates.
After that time, they're not valid. They're illegal votes. And what the Postal Service is doing was they were making it look like they were shipped before the deadline.
Okay.
And there's tons of evidence for that as well, as including affidavits.
And then I just thought of all the Giuliani said in that press conference, the thousands of provisional ballots that were being done. Was that in Pennsylvania? Because I think he's heading the Pennsylvania one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. on that one.
So he said what provisional ballots were when you go in and you say, well, I'm here to vote. My name is Evaldo Barros. And they go, oh, wait, Mr. Barros, you already voted. You go, no, I didn't. And I go, yeah, I did. No, I haven't, I said. And they go, yeah, you did. So what they were doing was they would give me a provisional ballot even though they used my registered name to give somebody else that's not qualified to vote. And then if I showed up, which they were hoping wouldn't happen, they would just give me a provisional ballot. So my vote's going in twice, one by somebody else and then one by me.
And then there's sworn affidavits.
That makes sense?
Of
Yeah.
people running.
And they had like tens of thousands of those, Giuliani was saying.
Yep. And then there was reports, affidavits of people rerunning the same batches through the machines.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You know?
Wow.
I'm not surprised. It's just a matter of proving it. You know that with as corrupt as our government has become, this is not a surprise to me.
Liberals want us to just accept the results, but I'm sorry. After 4 years of Russia conspiracy,
with no evidence,
and then come to find out it was actually Hillary Clinton who created that with Obama's blessing. And then to find out Obama was spying. I remember being called a tinfoil hat conspiracist.
A tinfoil hat conspiracist.
When Trump first got in and there was talk about possibility that he was being spied on, even during the election. And then come to find out it was true. They bugged Trump Tower and all that. Then you look at what happened to Michael Flynn. That guy would still be in jail had Hillary won. You know, and who else knows who else would be in jail if that was the case? So it wouldn't shock me and it wouldn't surprise me to find out that all this stuff with Dominion, with the mail-in ballots, which I'm sorry, 138 ballots goes through, not one for Trump. I'm sorry. Even if you're telling your voters not to vote, somebody is going to vote by mail. There's going to be at least one ballot in that stack.
Yeah, and statistically speaking, that's highly unlikely.
Yep.
You know, that
that's
138
a probability that's very unlikely.
consecutive votes would be for one candidate.
And that happened multiple times, and it all was in those battleground states where the voting just counted.
And let me just preface something. You know, I think at this point, many of conservative, I would hope so, and many liberals would say, you know, for the freedom and the integrity of our nation and our election process.
Right.
We want to know if this fraud is indeed true. You know what I mean? So even if Joe Biden wins the presidency, if he does it in a fair and honest way, that's the democracy of the United States of America.
Right.
But we are heavily convinced that, you know, fraud took place.
Yep. And you got to be careful who you're listening to, because not all Republicans are on his side. You know, they were happy to ride Trump's coattails, but a lot of them they're opportunists. You know, they're watching out for themselves, and they're gonna jump on, if they think Biden is gonna be the next president, they're gonna jump on his coattails. You know, but I find it also strange. Another thing is the fact that the Republicans gained. You know, they won big in Congress, yet, so all those people who were voting for those senators and congressmen and women, they voted for Biden or didn't vote for either president.
Yeah.
Like, I just find that odd. That
is very odd.
That the GOP did so well on election night, except Trump is supposedly going to lose.
Well, that would mean that people voted Republican for the Senate or the House of Representatives, but then voted Joe Biden for the presidency.
Yeah, that, to me, it makes no sense.
Eddie Camara wrote it was 138,000 ballots for Biden, 0 for Trump. It was in Wisconsin in the middle of the night.
Yep. And Wisconsin, if I believe correctly, Joe Biden is not winning by many votes there. So again, a lot of these where they just dumped ballots, because it happened in Georgia and it also happened in Michigan too. I believe the number was much higher in Michigan, maybe like 150, 160,000, where this happened.
Yep.
That alone overturns the election.
Yeah.
So there was some news that I heard yesterday. So Trump has assigned Kavanaugh, Amy, and Clarence Thomas to the three states that are in contention.
Right.
I think it's Pennsylvania, Georgia, and perhaps is it Wisconsin or Michigan?
I think
one of those
Alito
two
was assigned to them too.
Okay, so Alito as well.
All the battleground states, including Arizona, I believe, has a judge assigned to them.
Right.
Supreme Court.
In Georgia, certified, and then as of yesterday, they reneged it.
Yep.
So they went back.
Which is interesting because it was the governor, right? And Sidney Powell actually came out and said that there was a possibility. Again, I don't know all the evidence, but there's an idea that he may be in on the conspiracy, and that's why you were seeing them so quickly to try and do the recount. Not well, because they didn't audit any of the signatures. And then they were trying to rush the certification. So
Right.
I don't know
Right.
if that's true, but we'll see.
And there was one more thing that
Wouldn't shock me.
that I heard too. I forget. It skipped my mind. It'll come back to me.
Well, that lets you know this election is not over yet. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Well, look at what happened with Al Gore and Bush, right? It took 36 days. Al Gore thought he was president for 36 days. This process has only been 2 weeks. The media wants you to think it's been a lot longer, and that Trump is dragging out. But we didn't find out Bush was going to be president until 36 days later, till almost inauguration day.
And that was one state.
That was one state.
One state.
That was Florida.
Florida.
Just
One
state.
state. This is spanning across. They're saying every state.
Yep, and that was just a matter of recounting ballots. This is like, you got Dominion with switching votes, and then you actually have people that are saying that didn't happen. Yes, it did happen. In Michigan, there was a Republican congressman who won because they just so happened to catch the switch. So somebody noticed, hey, these votes just switched. Then they had to hand count the ballots, and come to find out, it was the Republican that actually won.
So speaking of Dominion, I just remembered they did not show up to their Senate hearing
Correct.
in
Yep.
Pennsylvania. They were invited to an open forum Zoom meeting hearing just to answer some questions about some of their irregularities, and they didn't show up. They just refused to show up, and then they lawyered up. Now, my thing is, if you have nothing to hide, why don't you just show up, explain what these irregularities could potentially be, explain yourself? But the fact that they're not even showing up and they're hiding, that makes it seem more suspicious.
Right, obviously. Yeah,
So we're not getting any answers. All we're getting from the mainstream media too is, instead of them actually attacking the facts and the allegedness that's coming out from the Trump lawyer team, they're just like making fun of Giuliani at the press conferences.
Yep.
They're like doing silly stuff to kind of downplay or delegitimize the accusations that are coming out. They're not even attacking the facts.
No.
Right, yeah, it's pretty obvious.
And that's how liberals operate,
You
obviously.
can't rely on the media. You can't even rely on Fox News, not anymore, to get to the bottom of this, to get to the truth. You just can't.
Yeah.
You know, look how censored we're being on Twitter and Facebook. As soon as the election is over, we'll be deleting my Twitter account at least, and then seeing what I can do with all my Facebook stuff. See if I can get that on a private stuff. And
You can go to Parler.
Yeah, I already have Parler.
And
that's what I'm going to be using after the election.
Like, I'm done with Fox News after what they did in Arizona. I haven't even watched them.
I truly believe, had they not called Arizona, I think Trump would have won that state. I think he's still going to win. I think it's going to be flipped. But I think there was a lot of people who heard it because it was very, very early.
Right.
And
It was at 71% they called it.
And they ended up probably getting out of line, not voting.
And it wasn't like
that Trump was winning in a landslide, like
They didn't-
Texas,
they didn't
Florida,
call
I
Texas,
believe.
North
Florida
Carolina,
took
Florida, Georgia, Pennsylvania. All of those states should have been called for Trump on election night.
So I don't even understand why the liberals that feel so threatened by Trump. Oh, he's dangerous. He doesn't even have anybody on his side. You guys have the media, the schools, the politicians, the people that are internationally in charge of the Dominion, all this stuff. They're all on your side. And still, it took this much effort to try to overthrow the grassroots movement that is Trump. I try to tell people this. Trump is not dangerous. He just has supporters that are just average Americans. They want America to not have so much corruption and just be good for the working class and for common people. That's all we want. We want to be free.
Pre-pandemic, America was riding high.
Booming.
And even during the pandemic, job numbers were growing. But it's kind of hard when you have the media pushing, that everybody's dying in the streets and everything, There's only so much you can do with that. And then they made fun of him for saying that there were going to be vaccines by the end of the year. And look, you have 2 companies announcing.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind they waited till after the election to announce it, but they already had the information. Pfizer and Moderna coming out with their vaccines by next month. But they waited purposely. See, here's the thing. Big Pharma is part of the swamp, and I kind of had figured that was what was going to happen because Trump is going after Big Pharma, lowering drug prices, prescriptions, helping the elderly. He's actually doing something for the American people, and Big Pharma doesn't like that, and neither do the rhinos and the liberals. So it didn't shock me that they waited till after the election to announce that, because you imagine the week before the election they saying, "Oh, the vaccines will be here," probably would have changed a lot of votes.
Right, they did that by design. I don't even think they expected initially that Trump would have it done so fast. The
media made fun of him for it.
And noticed that after, Biden supposedly projectedly got in, that they were saying that the vaccine is now 90% effective, 95%. It's good now, but beforehand they were like, well, that vaccine, we don't trust it. But now all of a sudden, they trust the vaccine. So there's good reports coming out about it after the fact. So they know what they're doing.
And I mean, you have them masquerading Joe Biden around in this artificial president-elect office.
Yeah, it doesn't even exist. There's no such thing.
There's no such thing as it.
But what he's trying to do is he's conditioning people to believe that he is the president.
And that's the challenges that they'll have at the Supreme Court making these decisions, because there's already been a precedent set that will make it difficult for them to make that decision if they want to turn the election. And the fear of rioting and even the fear of their very own lives, I'm sure they're going to be threatened and things like that. So there's a lot on those Supreme Court justices' weight that we have to keep in mind. I just pray for them.
Do they go home with the detail or no?
I don't think they do. I think...
Are they just regular people living in the community?
Yeah. I don't believe they get like Secret Service type protections. I don't, because I don't even think Congress, unless just somebody very high level.
Yeah, because if you look at what happened to Ron Paul when he was coming back from the RNC convention, he was, if it wasn't those police officers stepping up, he wasn't having any private security or governmental-based security that's regularly assigned to him.
It probably, like those Republicans in Michigan who stood their ground and thankfully rescinded their votes, they should have federal protection. They should. Just based on the threats that they're getting. And they're not just getting threats by random people out there. Other Congress people and people that are politicians are the ones doxing them and threatening them. Threatening their children.
Right.
So it's not just some nutcase out in the middle of a cornfield doing it. It's politicians.
Right. And when you have like Adam Schiff's whistleblower for the Russian collusion, the whistleblower wouldn't sign anything, wouldn't sign an affidavit, wouldn't go under oath, wouldn't reveal himself, right? They have these baseless, whistleblowers, yet all these people that we have on the Trump team that are coming out as witnesses, they're getting threatened, they've signed affidavits, so they're sticking their necks out there. It just shows you the difference between when, we present cases and they present cases. Theirs is usually baseless and so anonymous and like meaningless. Like Blasey Ford with I don't know where it was, when it was, nobody else corroborated with me, but yet she has a whole what was it, like a month?
Yeah, the whole media was
the whole media. So please spare me, libs, when you say that, you're intimidated by Trump's power. Trump has no power. We are the people that are standing up for him, as you can tell by the Million MAGA March. He doesn't have the media power, the academia power, the government. Where's the FBI in Bill Barr? Where's
they're absent.
The FBI has become a political machine.
I think it's more. I think it's the CIA too. I honestly would not be shocked if Sidney Powell comes out. And there's another person I hope that they're protecting too, because I could see her being a target. I wouldn't be shocked they come out and find out that this was a CIA job.
Probably.
I wouldn't be. Because
nothing surprises me about
it's starting
this.
to come out that we've obviously used this in other countries, which is a shame.
Yeah.
It really is.
Wow.
So we just have to be patient. Let this play out through the normal processes of the legal system. I know everyone's a little, on their seat about it, whether you're on the right or the left side. We want this to get done and go Trump's way, and the other side doesn't want it to go done, but it has to because we're at a pivotal time in history. This has never been seen before. This pandemic, these mail-in ballot voting, which they warned that it would lead to massive fraud. You can't just do that and not expect what's happening. So it has to go through this process that we're going through. So we have to be patient.
And when it comes to mail-in ballots, I blame a lot of the Republicans too because
They allowed it.
They fell right in, and it seems like for everything,
Spineless.
they're
They're
constantly
spineless.
falling into the Dems traps. When it comes to confirmation hearings, when it comes to any investigations, they're always falling for the Dem traps.
Because they're afraid of being called, you're a racist, you're, dope voter suppression, and they don't want to be called those names, so they just tow down
so
and try to be like nice
you have
guys.
71% of the precincts in Wayne County showing more votes than voters, and the fact that two people want to investigate it makes them racist. How is that racist? How is that suppressing the vote that you want to find out why you have more votes than actual voters?
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
I know, man.
It's absurd, man. It's absurd. Wow. We are certainly living in unprecedented
Come on,
times, man.
Republicans. Stop being such pansies.
Lindsey Graham fist bumping Kamala Harris on the Congress floor.
Yeah,
What do you guys think of that?
and we understand that in front of the cameras, politicians are they all talk, and then behind closed doors, they're all friends. They're probably making backroom deals. I've always said Graham is he's an opportunist. He has no loyalty.
He's the Judas of the Republican Party, man.
In the beginning, he was all with McCain. As soon as McCain died, he all of a sudden he was a Trump fan.
I'm not surprised. He's been there way too long not to be like that. So
I think what needs to happen is if Trump wins, we need to find new Republicans to replace people like Graham,
young fresh bloods.
Chris Christie's. We need to and Mitt Romney's. We need to find new Republicans to replace them, and Trump needs to support those newer Republicans to get rid of these clowns.
Eddie Kamara, Fox News is Judas.
Yes.
Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this. Okay, we need more viewers and subscribers. Jeez.
We got the camera down. We finally got the green screen.
How long have we been on? Like a whole year.
we got like one viewer.
By the way, with this rate, like 20 years, we'll have 1,000. Jeez, come on, man.
Well, you know what? It takes time, and it's just consistency. So, I'm here because this needs to be talked about. More conservative media outlets need to be out there. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
we don't have them. We
Yep.
don't have them.
So what do you guys think about the idea? So it looks like AT&T is looking to sell CNN. What do you think of the idea of Trump buying CNN and turning
Well, I heard rumors that if he didn't get in this time, he would start his own media
his
company.
own media company?
I think
Trump News.
that needs to happen because I'm not looking for a media outlet that's gonna just be one way.
Right.
I want a media outlet that's gonna explore everything to the
Right.
facts.
And we thought that was Fox, right? Because they try to be balanced. They hired corrupt people like Donna Brazil, and they got your buddy Juan Williams on there. But obviously, we understand that they're not trying to be balanced.
Listen, the
either.
problem with media companies, not so much the personalities that are on there, they're all bought. It's the owners.
Right.
If the owners are just Marxist globalists with their own agendas, you know how it's eventually going to turn out. I mean, Fox News, when it first started, it started good. The ownership was good. And then he died off, and then they're under new ownership now. Look at the way it's headed. So
Yeah. But we do have two, right? We have, what is it, Newsmax and
Yeah.
OANN.
But when I
think
look
it
at
is.
these things, it's just a matter of time before somebody comes in, corrupts them. It's just
Yes,
like what big
yes.
corporations do. When they see like a small business thriving, they come in, they buy it out, and then they get rid of the competition, and then they do their thing. So that's just how I look at it. I feel like conservatives, we're probably never going to be like really big mainstream media type people. We're just going to have those small roots talk shows, little shows. We do all the dirty work because it's just where our heart is, because when you start to get so powerful and rich, corruption comes in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
So
I'm okay with that. I think what we need more in this party are people that are going to have a spine.
Well, stick your neck out there.
That's what we need. The thing with the Democrats is even if they don't agree, they stick together.
they do. And they come out when, something happens with police shootings or Black Lives Matter and Antifa. When things happen with grassroots people on Trump's side, the Republicans don't say anything. It's like they're scared to come out. And that sucks.
Yep.
It does. There was a guy that called the Rush Limbaugh show the other day. He's crying. This a grown man. He's probably like in his 60s or 70s. He's like, I went out to the Million MAGA March, and there's no Republican support. And he's crying because there's no one there but the president for us. Nobody's there standing up for us when we get beat up, when we get shot down. And now these Georgian senators that are running for office, these no-Trumpers, they want our support now. But they're not willing to come out and say anything when something happens to Trump people or people that are just patriots.
Yep.
That's the problem.
That
You're
is
right.
the
The
pro- that's what
Democrats
I'm
stick
saying.
together.
That is a problem.
If he somehow gets in, there needs to be a purging of the Republican Party, or there needs to be a new party. There needs to be a new party or something, because we can't rely on Republic. Just because they're Republican doesn't mean that they're going to stick up for the people that vote for them. It doesn't. I saw a stat the other day of a Republican congressman who voted 90% with Pelosi and AOC. 90%. You're going to tell me that's the will of the Republican Party? But it just goes to show that, and I put it out on Facebook the other day. I said, no matter what happens, we're either, after Trump is gone, when he's done, it's either going to go back to a corrupt Democrat or a spineless Republican, which is almost just as bad.
And I think a lot of Americans don't care about the soul of this country, and they just rather have things go back to normal.
Yeah, they don't. But what is normal now?
Right. They just want their lives. There's a lot of people they just want their lives not interrupted, status quo. Just let me be at peace. Let me have my little stuff.
Understand that. So
and we all want that, but
yeah, but how is pushing a socialist agenda not gonna interfere with your lifestyle? How's $5 a gallon gas, waiting in bread lines, a $93 trillion Green New
Deal?
How is that not going to affect you?
I think what it is people don't really think it's ever going to get to that. And I'm pretty sure in these countries you're talking about that are ruined by socialism, it started like this, and they probably thought we would never get there. Just look at, if you talk to people in this country, talk to the older folks, they'll tell you, I never thought we'd be where we are right now. It's a slow progression. And I think that people are just complacent, and they don't think that it's going to get that radical. So they say, you're just being crazy. It's never going to be like that. Let's just have Biden in, and we'll be all right.
Biden's already talking about canceling $10,000 of college debt. AOC and the Communist Squad is already pushing him to go to $50,000 without even Congress approval. So with his pen, he can go up to $50,000 per. So what does that tell the people that worked their butts off and paid for their college?
Right.
I know. It's aggravating. And then you have people like, oh, well, education should be free. It is free up until
12th grade.
12th grade.
Right.
It's free. It's bought by the taxpayers. Anything after that is your responsibility.
And college was never this expensive until politicians got involved and started government funding college. Then what the college campuses did was they just shot up the prices. Well, if the government's paying for it, let's just shoot up tuition.
And that's with everything.
But beforehand, you could go to college at a reasonable price, pay it off, and be debt-free. And you would work maybe a summer job just weighing tables to pay your college. But nowadays, because the government subsidizes it, the price is through the roof by design. That's the problem with college. Look at the student loan debt crisis we have in this country. It's incredible. Incredible.
And the other thing, too, is you have a lot of media and people pushing people to go to college.
Right.
When you got tons of trade jobs that really isn't going to cost you much money to learn, and then you could be making bank as soon as you get out of school for it.
Yeah.
Instead of going to college for degrees like gender studies, I'm sorry, that you got a useless degree.
Gender studies.
You know, and let's be
Lesbian
honest,
dance
and
theory.
what they
That's
do
a
is they
real degree, too.
overpromise. Because I remember when I was looking into doing video game design, and I was looking at a certain university, they're promising all these things, but then come to find out there just wasn't enough jobs for everybody. And that's what they
Right,
do.
right,
I mean,
right.
how many gender study roles
Right.
are there in this country? Like, seriously, you can't tell between the difference between a male and a female? Really? You need to go to college for that?
And the other thing that happened too with education was back then a lot of people didn't go to college, so you could get away with just having an associate's or a bachelor's. But now because everyone's going to college because it's supposedly free, now you have to not only get a bachelor's, but you got to have a master's, you got to have a PhD. So it's just growing in that phase so much that just a regular degree in the old day could get you a good job. That's not the case now. So a lot of things have changed, and that's what happens when you let the government get involved and stick their hand in the cookie jar. You know what I mean? They just ruin stuff. Like Social Security, that's a dumb thing. I could make better decisions with investments with that Social Security money than they could. You know, and it's not even guaranteed for us. It's just a pool of
No,
money
I honestly don't
that
think
you
it's
hope
gonna
will be
exist.
there because other people are using it right now. Whatever you're putting in right now, other people are using it. You hope when you're ready to use it that it'll still be there. It's not guaranteed.
Yeah, that's
That's
not gonna
ridiculous.
Be there when I retire, that's
No,
for sure.
I'm not
Eddie
a big
Kamara
fan.
wrote, "You guys need to go stream on Periscope. You will grow your audience." Thanks, Eddie. Send me the link to that or the information. Periscope. That sounds like a tarot reading site or something. Periscope.
Well, I'm banking on the fact that this election isn't over, and I hope what Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, Rudy Giuliani, all of the legal team on Trump's
Yeah.
campaign.
And you know,
I hope all the evidence comes out
Yeah.
so systemic that this election is overturned. Which, honestly, we shouldn't even use the term overturned because it hasn't even been decided yet.
It's projected. It's
It's
a projected
projected.
one. You're right.
It hasn't really even been decided yet.
you
So
know, the funny thing about Rudy Giuliani is people make fun of him, right? This is the guy who took down the mafia.
Yeah.
This is the guy who is considered one of the greatest mayors of
Mayors
New
of
York
all
City.
time.
He's a Republican. So they're not giving him the credit. What they're trying to do is portray an image of this senile old guy to people who don't know who Rudy Giuliani is. You know, because there's a lot of people that are watching. I guarantee they don't know what
Rudy
has done.
Giuliani is the man. That man
Okay.
took down the mob.
So
dude.
they look at him. Oh, look at this
That's
clown,
ridiculous.
Right.
right? Who's sweating profusely.
And that's how
Yeah.
the media likes to do
That's
their
how they
stuff.
portray
They
him.
don't
Yeah.
The
present
dark,
facts.
the dark stream running down the side of his face.
They just
like
want to
that.
control your mind with how things may appear. So that as soon as you hear something legitimate come out of his mouth, the only thing you think of is, oh, that's that old senile, sweaty guy. So
Yeah.
you undermine him.
When I watched MSNBC this morning just to get another take on the other side, it was just wow. It's how far like removed they are. It's just sad. It's literally just propaganda. That's it.
That's all it is. And if you look at the Trump team, they have nothing to gain from this.
Nope.
They have everything to lose and nothing to gain. Their careers could be jeopardized if what they're saying is not true or baseless. They
Right.
will not be able to practice law.
Yeah.
Their lives are being threatened, I'm pretty sure. There's nothing for them to gain. They're just trying to be patriotic about the country. Sorry. You know? You can't say the same for when libs get involved in stuff. They're all opportunists.
So every time that Adam Schiff lied to you and you cheered him on and you supported him, what evidence did he ever show you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
It's crazy. But you know what? It's not over yet. It's not over yet. They want you to think it's over, but these litigation processes are still continuing, and we have yet to declare a president of the United States of America.
And like Sebastian Gorka says, hold the line. I think that's what we got to do. We got to hold the line. Don't allow the liberals to get you down, intimidate you, say that you had tinfoil hat because that's what they were saying in the beginning.
Come
We
on.
were all wearing our tinfoil hats.
Yep.
But look what happened. Obama, according to Dan Bongino, you are the most corrupt president that we have ever had. And I believe that is true.
People like him a lot, though.
The media made him the cool guy.
Yeah.
Oh, because he can shoot a basketball, so he's cool.
He does appear pretty cool in that sense, but he's very corrupt. That's my idea of him.
Dinesh D'Souza was actually making fun of him because Dinesh D'Souza said he's written like 15 or 18 books and it's never been about him, but Barack Obama just came out with a third book, and every book has been about him. So he's
Right.
got a big ego.
Yeah, I mean, he sat down for 29 hours and talked about
And-
himself for his docuseries.
I don't care if he has a big ego. That doesn't bother me because you know what? Trump is like an alpha male. He's got a big ego and he's not afraid to, show his success and his money and all that stuff. I have no problem with that. The only problem is Obama's just very corrupt in his policies, very evil. His policies stink. Even if you don't look at it at the scale of good and evil, it just doesn't work for the country. It's horrible. I remember in his second term when he was almost up, my wife's two cousins that own Subways, they were like, we don't even know how we're going to survive through this presidency. That Obamacare mandate was horrible for small businesses.
A lot of people lost
it just doesn't work.
their jobs. I remember companies were cutting people like an hour short so that they didn't have to pay the medical insurance. So they were no longer full-time, so they would cut their hours. And then a lot of people lost their health insurance. A lot of people lost their hours to make a living. But I think when you have those types of policies, the whole end goal anyways is to get you hooked on government assistance,
And I think the culture that we're in right now, the reason why people liked Obama opposed to Trump, they favor more with Obama's popularity, is the fact that Obama has the image of what they want men to be these days, which is like this kind of metrosexual, feminine, cool man that's like, kind of soft like Obama, dresses nice, plays a little basketball, not too, loud or strong. But Trump is like the old school alpha male kind of guy that makes his money, kind of lays down the law, that old school men that people like, and this generation does not like that kind of man. They want like a soft, Obama kind of guy who's, wife, you can tell who wears the pants in that relationship kind of guy, and that's what they like. So I don't know.
I'm thinking about my chicken right now. That's what I'm thinking about. But you know what? It's true. Because masculinity, as we know, is under attack. It's under attack.
Yeah.
You got Harry Styles, people who are pop cultures, Hollywood, dressing up in dresses and saying this is manly.
Yep. And
You got Candace Owens coming out and saying, "Hey, man, where's the manly man again?"
So what do you guys think of the idea that it's really Obama running the show with the whole Democratic Party, the Biden and Harris administration? Because Obama really didn't leave. He's still living in Washington. He has a little
He
place
bought a
there.
house in Washington. You have to wonder why
Because,
he did that.
yeah, rumors are is that he wanted Kamala to get in through the primaries, but she couldn't make it through, so he was able to get her a gig as VP.
Yeah.
Because he's really able to influence Biden and Kamala in that way.
Again,
I wouldn't be
shocked.
surprised.
This is the guy who spied on a president and interfered in the election, so I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Obama is a straw man for somebody like Soros or somebody else.
And I think what we have right now, the two souls of this country, is the Trump brand when it comes to politics and the Obama brand. That's how I see it. They're head to head. That's why those two are so competitive with each other. And I hope that the Republican Party will turn to a Trump brand kind of party because he's already taken over the party, just like Obama has with the Democratic Party.
Those rhinos and spineless.
And I see Trump and Obama's brand going at it. This is how we're divided. This is how we're divided as a nation.
I'm sorry, half of us want to actually work, earn good wages, not pay $5. I don't want to wait in a bread line. I don't. I really don't.
And on a touchy note, I just don't understand how you could be a Christian
No, you can't be.
and like the Obama brand just because he's cool and he reads really well and he went to Harvard. I don't understand it.
I don't know. Just
because you share the same skin color with him and he's cool.
Not just abortion.
As a Christian.
Not just abortion are they supporting, but the fact that they're supporting abortion up until birth. I mean, how much more evil can you get? The baby is born, yet you still want to kill it. It's a full-fledged baby.
Oh, let me guess. Trump is the Antichrist. That's what I hear a lot about these Christians that really know their prophecy. You don't know one lick of any Antichrist prophecy in the Bible that tells you exactly who he's, where all these things that show you that this is who the man's going to be. You don't know any of that, and you're calling Trump the Antichrist. That must be part of why they hate
he's a
Trump.
bad antichrist because
He's gone against the whole global agenda.
Yeah, he's gone exactly. Not only that,
The Great Reset.
created no new wars. He's bringing the troops home. People are actually mad that he's bringing troops home. Unbelievable.
Oh my goodness.
Created the lowest unemployment for minorities. I don't understand it. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
And I get it if his personality rubs you the wrong way. I don't mind his personality. I like him. I think he's pretty cool.
I don't know if you've seen Joe Biden go off on people.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it
too.
I love the way he's just straightforward.
Yep.
You don't see that with many politicians.
You got to focus on the policies. When it comes to presidents, you got to focus, or anybody in politics, it's the policy. What are they doing?
Right.
I don't want to hear about their tweets and they're mean and how they sound. What are they doing as far as making policies?
You know what? If Biden does get in, I just can't wait for him to enact the policies that he's promised, and people start looking at their paycheck.
Yes.
Start looking at gas and milk prices.
Don't come asking me for money.
And people lose their jobs because he wants a 4 to 6 week unemployment.
I ain't Venmo you nothing.
Shutdown.
No Venmo.
I can't wait to let you know, hey, that's what you voted for. Elections have consequences.
Yeah. Well, it's not over. I'm going to repeat that again. It's not over yet.
Yeah. We're not falling into that
Maybe
trap.
you should start a GoFundMe account. I voted for Biden just in case. And get contributors because you're probably going to need it. I know I'm being crazy, but I just don't get it. Come on, America.
What's going on?
What's going on is a lot of voter fraud.
What's going on? What's going on?
I don't believe that there are that many stupid people in America that would vote for
80
Biden.
million.
Yeah, come on. I don't think so.
For a guy who couldn't get over 150 people at his rallies? Really? No.
No, because the election was all about Trump. Is whether you loved him or hate him. It had nothing
And this
to
whole
do with
COVID
Biden.
thing was all about this. It really was. It was all about the mail-in ballots. It was all about this election. Because I remember, when this happened really fast, when this whole COVID thing happened, they said it was going to be 2 weeks and we were going to get back to it.
We already knew that was a lie.
And then I was sitting in the library one day, and I had no inclination that it was an election year. I wasn't thinking about that, and somebody brought that to my attention, and I thought about it. And then you have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and all the Democrats at the DNC convention, and then during the primaries and the debates and stuff, talking about mail-in ballots and what they're going to do during the election process and all these different things, because the American people will be more safe to mail in their ballots during this time.
Well, we know history repeats itself, right? They tried it with Lincoln, and
1864.
If it stays the way that it's projected, then they got away with it this time. But they tried it. They tried it against Lincoln.
They did in 1864, second term. All right, guys, let's talk about our coronavirus hypocrisy update.
Oh.
Okay, so thank you, Mrs. Mayor Lightfoot, showing up at her Biden rally after Biden supposedly won with no mask and hundreds of thousands of supporters. Thank you for your hypocrisy. You want to shut down your country during Thanksgiving, but yet you're out there with no masks, around lots of people with no social distancing. Good job. And your excuse was that sometimes we need to relieve ourselves and get away from the norms. Well, how about us, that people that want to go to church and do things that are productive? Thank you, Gavin Newsom from California. You wanted people to shut down Thanksgiving and Christmas, but yet you went to a party with at least 12 people indoors at a restaurant, and you said, I'm sorry, I should have just got up and left. That was your reason.
That's illegal, buddy.
Thanks, buddy, for your hypocrisy. And wait, there's one more. Let me think. One more corona. Oh, yes, all the people that were celebrating in the streets when Biden supposedly won, not social distancing. Yeah, you did have some masks, but you gathered around the hundreds of thousands, kicking a Trump doll and burning it, and not worried about the pandemic. So thank you for your coronavirus hypocrisy. We can't go to church. We can't gather in our homes with our families. We can't even go to family funerals. But yet, strip clubs are open, not bars, but strip clubs, marijuana joints, and you guys are out there celebrating Biden's victory. Thank you for the hypocrisy. We appreciate it. That's my rant.
Thank you.
You really care.
And anybody who still thinks this is about public health, I just want to tell you, you're an idiot. It's stupid.
I'm actually surprised the Million MAGA March went the way it did. I thought they tried to shut it down. but a lot of people showed up.
Yeah, I don't think they were expecting the numbers. How do you turn away 1 million people? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that. It's too many people.
And nobody had to board up their walls of their businesses.
Not one business was burned down or looted.
Nobody was concerned
Nope.
about rioting, looting. Man, what a difference. You got Biden's America / Obama and Trump's America. Two totally different Americas.
Yep. And the fact that they want us to just
Roll over.
accept, concede, and unify, as they call it.
Yeah.
It's a big joke. After 4 years of a Russian hoax, the way that they treated us, called us racist, homophobes, everything in the book, and they just want us to just forget it all and unify under a globalist agenda.
Nonsense. Not going to happen. Litigation still continues. That's what I tell a lot of people. So, waiting for the evidence. And January 20th is coming up pretty soon.
Well, hopefully next week we'll have good news to talk about.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Anything else we want to add here? Are we ready to shoot out of here?
I'm good.
We love you guys. Like, share, and subscribe. It was good to be back. Deshaun, it's good to see that you dried up all your sweat. It looks good.
Yeah, no voodoo.
No voodoo.
That's what Phil said. Put some voodoo
Phil.
on Rudy Giuliani with the sweat.
Thanks, guys. Have a
Good
great
show,
Sunday.
guys. Good job.
All right.
Later, guys.